All right. Says I'm live. You guys can hear me. Please let me know when we will get this started. 107. So if you cash the over on 105, which I'm sure was the line, congratulations, you have hit. But I am looking forward to today's race. I know road courses are not the most exciting, but I mean, honestly, for DFS and betting, it's been pretty darn good so far in the next gen cars. So I'm hoping that continues today. Not hoping for a wreck fest or anything. Just hope it's a nice boring race, kind of like last week, and the best cars are up front where they should be. That's kind of what we're hoping. But going loud and clear from Andre. There's about 140 of you waiting. Do appreciate y'all being here with me on your Sunday afternoon. I'll be here to answer any question you guys have and just really hang out before the race. Probably be about an hour-ish on the stream. So I'm going to go from top to bottom on the chats, and I'll get to your question when I get to your question. But I think the way the slate sets up, pretty good for tournaments just because pretty much all the fast cars are up front. So you really had to, it's really close between all these guys. I wouldn't say there's like a ton of standout plays. So it does make it fun to mix and match once we figure out where ownership is going to lie. All right. Got my man Spreader first. What's up, Spread? Nice to have you. What's up, Rick? If LaJoie doesn't go to the back, 11 for a GPP play. If he does, I will still play him in a lineup. He should be low ownership then. I don't really think the ownership's going to change too much on LaJoie. But isn't it confirmed that he's in the rear? At least last I saw, Bob said he is going to the rear today. Let me double check that, but I'm pretty sure. That is what I read about a half hour ago. So let's see. Yeah, to the rear so far after the garage. Yeah, LaJoie, Haley, Keselowski, and Custer. So it does change things a little bit because the cheap plays are awful this week, and I actually thought Corey LaJoie was somewhat interesting with the track position. I don't think you completely fade the guy where we're talking 0% of our lineups, but definitely hurts a bit because, I mean, that track position was huge for Corey LaJoie, and he actually has a fast car this week, so it's unfortunate that he's going to the rear because it just kind of knocks down one of the cheap plays, and we are hurting for cheap plays because when we have guys like Cole Custer, Harrison Burton, Ryan Preece looking somewhat decent for cheap guys, you know it's a bad week for that. Got a donut from my man Chris Jenkins. As always, I do appreciate it. He says, is stacking front starters the same as making a Dom group? I mean, in theory, I guess so, but I don't really want to make any groups this week as far as dominators because, I mean, yeah. I want to mention one thing. I feel like I slandered Denny Hamlin a little bit in my video. I don't think I wrote him off completely. I just said I'm not sure I'm going to have a lot of him. Well, once I ran projections and stuff and ownership and things like that, Hamlin doesn't stack out too bad. So if it sounded like I didn't like Denny too much in my video, I take it back. He actually looks like a pretty decent play today, given the numbers that came out in my sims and whatnot. So I am a bit of a fan of Denny today. Hopefully I didn't steer anyone away from him in the video. I just thought he wasn't going to pop as much because I thought Byron would, but turns out both of them are looking pretty good to me. But yeah, I mean, I guess it's somewhat making a Dom group, but I mean, I guess I don't think it's completely the same. But I do appreciate the donut, as always. But, you know, like I always say at road courses, we don't need dominators. We just need guys that can finish high. And if they dominate on the way there, I mean, that's icing on the cake, which Byron and Hamlin can certainly do. I believe I have Byron as my top Dom today around 23% of the time, and Denny Hamlin's right behind him at 22% of the time. What's up, D'Angelo? Says low owned driver under $7,200 and top fade of the day. So low owned driver under $7,200. Well, Brad will be chalky, so I can't say him. I think Justin Haley's not a bad play. Although, isn't he one of the drivers going to the rear? He is, which, you know, that's unfortunate too, because I like Justin Haley today. He's also going to the rear, which, I mean, I don't think it's the hugest deal when you start mid-pack, but I mean, it definitely kind of sucks. So I would say under $6,200. I mean, low owned guys, Dylan, Haley, Jones. I mean, that's really about it. It's not pretty down low this week. One thing I love about FanDuel this week is that you can make so many lineups with Alex Bowen being your cheapest driver, and it feels way better than rostering guys like Harrison Burton on DraftKings this week. I will tell you that. What's up, Dimitri? You're the man as well. Who's your favorite cash plays? I think you're playing cash today. Number one, you got to start with the man, Chase Elliott, and take a shot today every time you hear Chase Elliott mention about the playoffs. I mean, you'll probably die by stage 2. And then I think William Byron's got to be top of the cash charts here. I mean, starting in second, got a super fast car, really cheap, and fast in practice, fast everywhere, fast in qualifying. I don't see a reason not to like Billy Boy today. And then Alex Bowman, let's just run a Hendrick train here, $8,000. He's starting in 18th, fast last week, has a top 15 car, starting in 18th. I know his price is up 1,200, but I mean, he was ridiculously cheap last week. I don't know why we've ever had a Hendrick car below 7K at a road course, but it was what it was. He smashed. I'm not sure he's going to get what he finished like 5th last week. I'm not sure that's going to happen again, but he should be a top 10 contender. So I think for cash games, I think it's 3 of those Hendrick guys right there, just to start off with. So Matthew says, if Austin Dillon were to finish, say, 10th, what's the likelihood of him being in the optimal lineup? I would say it's pretty good. I mean, it always depends on what the other drivers do around him. Like, you know, let's say, for example, Haley finished 9th. He'll be more optimal than Austin Dillon right there. But I would say if Austin Dillon gets a top 10 today, you're looking pretty good to be in the optimal. I mean, it's not a guarantee, but it's pretty likely, I would say. Dimitri says, smash the like button, folks. Helps me out. Hopefully we can get to over 100 likes in this. I don't know what we usually average on the streams, but over 100 would be cool. Rick says, LaJoy to the bag for a leak in his shock, along with Haley, Custer, and Keselowski. Yeah, if you're just not getting here, we do have a few drivers going to the rear today, all pretty much starting mid-pack besides Custer. Custer was already in the rear anyway, and hoping he stays there. Mundo says, let's get it. Let's get it, Mundo. Who's your top DOMs and value plays for this race today? Yeah, just looking at the sims here for the top DOMs, I mean, Denny Hamlin, William Byron are going to be the top 2, and I guess I misspoke. I thought Byron was my top DOM. Looks like Hamlin's at 23.1%. Byron's at 22.5%, and Kyle Larson's at 16.3%. So those are my 3 main potential dominators today. And special mention to Allmendinger, McDowell, Reddick, Elliott, and Gibbs in that category. Morning, Stan. Thoughts on Hamlin? Like I said, I feel like I was kind of talking down on Hamlin. I don't think he's going to win, but I do think he's definitely in play. Like if he finishes 4th today, leads some laps along the way, gets a fast lap here and there, I mean, that's not bad at $9,000 because the points are going to be very high scoring today. So I'm fine with Denny. I just feel like every road course, he ends up making like a mistake at some point. He's fast. He just makes a mistake. So if he doesn't make a mistake today, he'll probably be top 6 guy. So, I mean, that's viable. It's viable. Like on FanDuel right now at 20 max and 150 max, I'm thinking I'm sitting around 25-35% exposure. So let's see. James says, good morning. Good morning, James. Who do you like that's low price and in the rear? I mean, I don't really like any of these guys. They're warm bodies, and we have to roster 6 guys. So Cole Custer, Harrison Burton, Priest, Ricky Stenhouse, those are the cheap guys in the 5K range that I can stomach. But, I mean, it's not pretty. Rockefeller is probably the best tournament play in the 5K range. I'm not sure what the ownership is going to completely look like today. I was struggling on the ownership in the low range this weekend, so hoping I'm not too off. But Rockefeller at least has some speed compared to these other guys. And I realize he's not in the best equipment, but finished in the 20s last week, 22nd in practice, 19th in the 5 lap. He's running in 21st. Like, I mean, it's not the worst thing in the world. Like, I'd rather have Rockefeller finishing 22nd than like a Ryan Priest finishing 28th or something like that. So I think he's definitely worth a look. Just not starting in the rear, so that's why he wasn't in the original answer. Family Man says the LaJoy will be unowned. He's not going to be unowned today, I don't think. People always get the practice bump, and he was definitely fast in practice. Plus, I'm not sure how many people follow Bob on Twitter. It's really the only information you're going to get on guys going to the rear if you follow Bob. So, I mean, if people are just looking at him starting in 10th and fast in practice, I'm not sure how many people actually know he's going to go to the rear today. Unless you're watching the stream or you follow Bob on Twitter. That's really about it. But, I mean, I don't think he's going to be unowned. I originally had him for around, what did my ownership have on Joy? Not my personal, but I had him projected for around 20% ownership. I mean, that could obviously slip a little bit, but I don't think he's going to be unowned today. Isaiah says, Elliott, McDowell, Allmendinger, and Byron need one more racer on FanDuel. Who's a good pairing that you like? Harvick, Keselowski, Gilliland, or someone else? Thanks, Chris. So I love the 4 you already have. We're pretty low on funds here, so you have Harvick, Keselowski as options. So I don't know exactly how much money we have left, but I'm assuming we're in that, looks like we're in that 6K-ish range. As far as my projections are concerned, I have, if you can afford Blaney, he's my highest projected. And so Blaney, Harvick, and Keselowski are all within 0.2 of a projection within each other, but Blaney is slightly the best there. So if you can afford Blaney, I would say him, but just in order, it would be Blaney, Keselowski, and Kevin Harvick. Harvick, I've been having a hard time to get to, especially on FanDuel. It's just the SHR cars are so slow this week. I don't know where they're going to find the speed. I mean, they just look really, really bad. Slow in qualifying, slow in practice. I mean, it's just ugly. Spencer says, I'm going to fade Elliott and Truex today. Hope my boy Gibbs breaks through. Good luck, guys. Happy racing. It's definitely bold, Spencer. Now, again, in my video, that's why we have the more updated thoughts. I mean, I'm just kind of doing my initial reaction on the slate. I feel like I was talking Truex up a little bit. Once I ran my stuff, I really wasn't popping that much for me. I'm going to be kind of low on Truex today. Not saying he's a bad play, but once you look at the other guys in the 10K range, it's just hard to play Truex over Kyle Larson and Chase Elliott today, in my opinion. Both look faster. Obviously, Chase, I mean, road course king, and he's going to win. I mean, I'm not playing guys just because of the narrative, but I do think they're going to find a way to get him up front at some point. And Kyle Larson looks super fast, and obviously won 2 races in a row here at Watkins Glen. So, I mean, I think Truex can be within the top 10, but he's just not projecting as well as some of these other guys. So, kind of low on Truex. I think I only played him around 10 to 15% in a 20 max and 150 max today, so is what it is there. But Elliott, I can't get behind the fade Elliott train, though. That's not something I'll be a part of today. Now, my sims say he's going to be a little bit over-owned, but I do make some very conservative projections, and I'm still fine with Elliott today. Having a hard time fade him. Palma says LaJoie is worthless now. I mean, he's definitely fast. I'm not sure if I'd call him worthless. Like, he could get back up to around 20th, which, you know, if he gets around 20th, it's not the end-all, be-all. Could be worse. Like, my initial projections had Corey LaJoie at... Sorry for the ESPN announcement. But my initial projections had Corey LaJoie at 16.9 for his projected finish. It's around 20 points. I know it's not great, but looking at the other cheap guys, I mean, if he can get to around 20th place, it's not pretty, but he is $5,200. It's just, there is no good cheap plays this week. There really isn't. What's up, Rick? Hello, Race fans. Are there any Fords besides Buescher that would be fast? Well, don't forget about Mr. McDowell, Rick. McDowell's always going to be fast at the road courses. McDowell and Buescher, outside of that, though, well, let me see. Yeah, so McDowell, Buescher, definitely the top 2 Fords today, more than likely. After that, I don't really think so. Blaney wasn't terrible in practice, but it's really just those two, to be honest. I think LaJoie will race his way back up to around 15th. It's possible. I mean, just the loss of track position definitely sucks, but from what we saw in practice and qualifying, he definitely has some speed, although his laps were a bit erratic, kind of all over the place. Bob says, hey, Chris. What's up, Bob? Who's the best play to win at the current odds? Thank you. So I have 0 bets this week. I just hate all the odds, so I'm not going to force anything personally. Last week was nice. We hit McDowell at plus 1,800. Hopefully you guys got in on that. But thinking I'm just taking the week off on the outrights because it's really ugly this week. I mean, I don't really see anything that looks good. Looking at my current sheet, the betting model, Byron shows 0.2% leverage at 550, and McDowell shows 0.6% leverage at 850, but I'm just not betting anything. Plus, there's always the added factor of big NASCAR rigging the race for Chase Elliott, so I don't want to be a part of it this weekend, so I am currently passing. Like, if you want to be a smart bettor, just sometimes it's best just to take a week off if you don't like anything instead of forcing stuff, and that's what I'm doing. So I do not have any bets this weekend. Just a couple props I found on Underdog that I did like, so if someone asks me about Underdog, I'll mention them. Although they probably moved by now. Usually the ones I like get bumped a little bit. Rose says, waiting for Chris Pennell every week. You know how it is. I'm sorry. If you ever see my start time, usually add about 5 minutes, and then you'll be good. Jared says, 12:04 today. CP onto us, predicting 6 to 8 minutes late. You know, 6 to 8 was kind of the sweet spot today, Jared, so I guess I'm double tricking you there. Cal says, FanDuel, Chastain, Blaney, Jones, LaJoie, Rockefeller as my last driver. Who am I taking? I am probably taking Blaney of that group. It's very close between Chastain and Blaney. Blaney was pretty fast last week compared to his price point, and he's really, really cheap on FanDuel. He's only $1,600, so I'd probably go with Blaney there. Plus, you get one extra spot, I think, compared to Ross, who starts in 22nd. So, I have to go with Mr. Blaney. John says, what scrubs are you using to pay up for the studs? Seems tough this week. It's bad, John. It is very bad. I mean, the best options for cheap this week, it's pretty much like Priest, Haley. It was LaJoy. If you think he can race his way back up there, like in the top 20, he's viable. Stenhouse, Custer, Rockefeller, but it's all bad. They're all projected like 20 to 15 points for me. So really, I would just spin a wheel and hope for the best in the cheap plays. Because if anyone tells you they have a big edge on cheap plays, I think they're lying to you. Because I certainly do not. Rockefeller is sneaky because of the starting position, though. What's up, Preacher? Express says good luck today. We're going to need it. Rose says Austin Dillon. He's okay for a sneaky play down there. He's pretty similar to Justin Haley, although he doesn't have to go to the rear, which is a plus. Good luck to you as well, Ben. Dakota says cash thoughts. If I'm playing cash today, kind of just loading up in the Hendrick drivers, Elliott, Byron, Bowen, more than likely my starting points there. Thunder says late again. You know it. Byron, Elliott, Bowman, Blaney, AJ, and LaJoy for cash. Probably wouldn't go with LaJoy and cash at this point with him going to the rear. But the rest looks pretty darn good. I mean, he's $5,200. I don't know how much salary you have working with that, but if you don't feel comfortable with LaJoy, you could just pivot to Burton right there, or Cole Custer, depending on how much money you have left. But I would say LaJoy's a little bit iffy in the cash department. I would say he's probably iffy before that anyway. Logano and Blaney together? I'd rather just play Blaney, to be honest. I'm not the biggest fan of Logano today. I know he's got decent track position, but I feel like Blaney and him can end up in the similar spot at the end of the race, and then why not just play Blaney starting 12 spots further back? FanDuel, who you taking in the 8K to 12K range? A decent amount of drivers there. I have a lot of Byron, Dinger, McDowell. I mean, pretty much everyone in that range was a good play. I have exposure to all of them. I would say like Reddick and Bell are my lowest, but that's just because of the price. But they're all really good plays, and it's really the majority of my lineup. Like my highest owned drivers on FanDuel as of right now, Byron in this order too: Byron, Elliott, Dinger, Bowman, Hamlin, McDowell, Busch and Larson, Buscher. So like the pretty much very heavy on those. Happy fun day to you as well, Obi. Hopefully it's a good one. Byron for the win. I could see it. I mean, he's my projected winner. He definitely looks really good today. I'm not betting it, but he is my projected winner. Rowdy Doritos says, smash the like. Thanks for your help throughout the NASCAR season. You're welcome, Rowdy. We got about, what, 10 races left? Unfortunately, we only have a couple more streams because I do not do the streams during NFL season. So, unfortunately, only a couple left, which sucks because I do enjoy these a lot. Rick says, Elliott, Busch, McDowell, Buscher, and Gibbs. Byron's been good on road courses in 2023 so far. I mean, can you fit that lineup? It seems like a bit much. Seems a bit much. Unless you're answering the one question about the 8 to 12K range. If so, yes, but I feel like we're about 12K over on that lineup. What's up, Pugsley? Says, I went Chase, Busch, Byron, Bowman, Dillon, and Haley today in tournaments. Not too bad, Pugsley. Hopefully it all goes well for you. Thoughts on Ryan Blaney today? Has a decent car, it looks like. Finished 12th last week. Although we have some beef because he's the one who dumped Dinger. So if you rostered Dinger last week, I mean, he was like the guy that sucked in most of my lineups. Everyone else did like really good, and it sucks because he was fast. He had a very fast car, and probably would have been top 10 if Blaney didn't decide to dump him. So that was unfortunate. But I'm gonna forgive Blaney today. Hopefully he doesn't do that again, and I'm gonna have some Blaney today. LaJoy, good play. It makes it very iffy with him going to the rear. I did like LaJoy prior to that. Doesn't make it iffy now. Dimitri says 133 people in here. Should be 133 like. I wish it worked that way. That'd be great. Unfortunately, it never will. Adam says, have to get in my new weekly question. What players do you like this week that you don't think you'll get too much? Yeah, I do like that question, Adam. So guys that I do like that I'm not getting much of, I would probably say Christopher Bell, Tyler Reddick, and that's really about it. I mean, I can get to everybody else I want. Maybe Truex too. So I say like the bottom of the 10K range. I just can't get to them as much because I'm pretty heavy on Elliott Larson. Yeah, I think Truex, Reddick, and Bell can run well today. But I mean, someone's got to get the axe because the 9 and 8K range is a little bit loaded. So I would say those three I just can't really get too much of. But outside of that, you can kind of play whatever you want. Mike says, I won $15 profit in tournaments from your advice last week. Well, that's good, Mike. Hopefully we can make that $16 this week. But I appreciate you watching. Scott says, Pennell being late also means I'm late to get the grass cut. Well, I didn't know that, Scott. Now I feel like I'm under pressure to be on time next week. Hopefully the grass is getting cut, though. Jesse says, some outside of the top 10 with the best chance to win. It's going to be very tough. Let me just pull up my win percentage here. So outside the top 10, Elliott's going to be the first guy that pops up. He's in 15th. I got him for a 10% chance to win. The books think 15.4, so no thank you in the betting market. But I would say Elliott, and then next guy looks like Busher with a 2.7% chance to win, and then Truex with a 2% chance. So Elliott's definitely your best bet there. DK Cash Core today, says Darren. I would probably say the Hendrick guys, Byron, Elliott, and Bowman's a good starting point. How many laps before Josh Bilicki gets the lead today? I would say at least 3. At least 3 laps. Mr. Buff says, I feel like Bubba is a lot better road course driver than people think. I mean, I do get this every single time we go to road course, but I mean, the dude's just never... I know he finished, what was it, like 5th at the Indy road course last year when half the field exploded. But I mean, outside of that, I would just have a hard time trusting Bubba to put down consistent laps for the entire duration of a road course. Just doesn't typically work out. Has 2 top 20s this year. Like, that wouldn't be too bad if he was starting 20th on back. But for a guy starting in 12th in a 10 races in the next gen car, we're talking average running position of 25th with an average finish of 25th. I realize there's a couple decent finishes sprinkled in, but starting in 12th here, we're gonna need a little bit of magic, I think. I can't do it. Like, I feel like he practices well and qualifies well, but when the race is on, it's a whole different story. You know, it's just a little bit different. Charles says Sean O'Malley is the man. So I actually fell asleep early last night. I woke up at 2:30. I missed that fight. I heard he won though, which is cool. I know he's a very, very popular fighter. Cameron says, who should be the main couple of drivers who've been around for cash lineups today? Probably answered that one for you. Thoughts on LaJoy? I was like, is this Eric? But it looks like his burner account, Eric Do. If you don't know what I'm talking about. But thoughts on LaJoy? I mean, I liked him prior to going to the rear. With him going to the rear now, it definitely makes him a lot more risky. So I would say whatever you had with LaJoy, probably cut that in half-ish. It just definitely makes it a bit tougher. Colin says, tuning in late. I was late myself, so don't worry. Do you like Bush or Bill Moore's potential dominator? I definitely have more Bush today, so I'd have to go with Bush. He put on some pretty good laps in practice. I mean, so did Christopher Bell, but I would slightly side with Bush. Joel says, is Blaney too cheap, and how is Harvick in this race type? So Harvick's typically pretty consistent at grabbing decent finishes. 4 races this year, average finish at 19th, which, keep in mind, at his price point where he's starting, it's not terrible. And if you're looking at the next gen car, we have a 10 race sample size, average finish of 14th, 7 top 15s. Like, he's been pretty decent, but man, I'm not really trusting those cars today. He's going to need some wrecks, I think, to get up there. On raw speed alone, it doesn't look like they have it. 35th in the 1 lap, 32nd on the 5, which I believe only, or 36 cars are in the 5 lap. But if we're looking at the 10 lap, how many cars are in the 10 lap? 19, and he was 19th on that. So I just don't really trust Kevin Harvick today. Who's the other part? Is Blaney? Yeah, I think Blaney's a little bit too cheap. Like, I think it's fair where he is. So I don't want to call him too cheap. But I would say it's kind of right where it should be. Because, I mean, if you're looking at drivers of how they performed at the road courses this year, I don't really think I can put him above. Like, I don't really think there's a reason to put him above Logano or Bowman or Chastain. So I think he's kind of right where he should be. But that doesn't mean he's not a good play today. Got a donut from my man Geb. Hopefully enjoyed the race last week at Indy. He got to meet Bob. So Geb's a legend in my book for the rest of my life. And as well as Ross out in his pit box, which was very cool. So I was very jealous. C Pickles, where do I start for single entry GPPs? I think in GPPs, Larson's a really good starting point because if he's kind of sandwiched right in between Truex and Elliott right there. Not saying you can't play Elliott with Larson, but I think Larson's an excellent pivot. Obviously great at Watkins Glen, super fast car, would not surprise me if he won. Although I just feel like Rick Hendrick, if chases Elliott's right behind one of them up front, like just slow down a little bit, let Chase pass to get locked into playoffs. But I would say Larson's probably one of the best starting points. And then AJ Allmendinger I like a lot. Chris Buescher, Michael McDowell. Blaney's not a bad tournament play. And then Ty Gibbs I think are all viable for tournaments. So I would at least start with a group of those guys. But I do appreciate the donos, sir. Thoughts on playing Hamlin and Byron in the same lineup? So I didn't personally do it at my 3 max. I don't think it's the absolute worst idea if they can finish like in the top 3 or top 5 because of their price points. It's not like you're paying $11K for these guys. They're only $800 and $9,000. So I'm not going to rule it out. Now, when I did my hand build for 3 max, I did not personally do it. I have 1 Hamlin, 2 Byrons in that, but I'm not fully against it. Easy says, Gilly or Jones for cash? I would probably have to say Jones. I mean, he's not going to be fast, but he's starting in 31st. Give me the 7 extra spots. Looked like they were pretty similar in speed and practice. And Jones has slightly better odds, so I guess I would say Jones, but it's pretty nasty. Dylan or Keselowski? That's a pretty tough one. Keselowski projects a little bit better for me, so I guess I would say Keselowski. Yep, says I take the over under at 1, put 1K on the over and only paid out $5. Yeah, that was about minus 20,000 right there. It's free money though. What's up, Mom? Says hi, buddy. Good afternoon, NASCAR fam. Good luck, everyone, and go Joey. I just can't get with the Joey today, Mom, so can't say I'm rooting for you, but hopefully it doesn't do too bad for you. But I appreciate you stopping by. Rick says, Stenhouse has an average finish of around 19th or 20th on road courses in 2023, and he's starting 28th. Could be a very good play. I mean, average finish isn't always the most telling story in the world. Like, his average running position is a little bit worse than that, but he's definitely not been awful with the road courses, finish-wise. But he's definitely not a guy that really gets there on speed. But if you're looking at 10 races in the next-gen car, road courses, average finish of 20th, running position of 23rd, 4 top 15, 6 top 20s, like, he'll probably finish in the top 25. And there's a couple guys that have issues and he's not one of them. I mean, yeah, you can pick up a few spots off of that. So I don't think he's the worst play. He's definitely one of the safer options for cash games if you're looking for a cheap one. But again, it's not like I'm excited about it. Last piece with Caleb, Blaney or Harvick. I'm probably going Blaney. I just think he's going to be a little bit faster. I know he hasn't been good at the road courses this year, but he did have a solid showing last week, which is encouraging. I mean, Harvick, I know he's starting 33rd, so you really can't go backwards, but man, I don't know if I want to have any part of the SHR cars today. It was really ugly in practice and qualifying. Darren says, DK Cash, Dinger, Jones, Bowman, Truex, Stenhouse, Briscoe. Oh, you're asking me to pick between those 3? I would feel a lot better with the first one, I think. Second one's just got a group of slower cars. Bubba, good play starting in 12th? I don't know about that. Not really a road course guy. He says we want Oakley. Yeah, he was barking a little bit. I'm not sure what for. He always seems to get a little bit upset when I do my live streams for some reason. Any thoughts on Busch? Yeah, Busch is a fine tournament play. I would say he's pretty similar to like Kyle Larson. As far as like if I had to pick, like as far as big names are concerned, I mean, Kyle Larson, Kyle Busch, I think are 2 of the better tournament plays up there. Wallace, Gilland, or Dillon today in tourney. Should we move off Haley to the rear and take Rockefeller? Oh, man. Such a gross group right there. It really is. Projection-wise, on Wallace, Gilland, or Dillon, looks like Gilland projects the highest there, but we're talking within the 16 to 17 point range. Like, it's bad. Byron gets the win. I mean, I'm projecting it, but when I say I'm projecting him to win, my projections would say a 15.6% chance to win. So keep that in mind. Because I know some people are like, oh, yeah, that guy's going to win. But when I say I have a guy projected to win, I'm talking like well, this week it's a 15.6% chance to win. David says, new we're here. Do you do prize picks? I do. This is a terrible week for prize picks, though. I'm glad you stopped by, but this is not a good week for prize picks. I really don't have any value on the board. It's like they almost copy-pasted my projections, to be honest, because I do not see much at all. Like, they have Elliott at 50.5. I got him for around 49. I have Larson at 42. I have Larson at 44. Now Truex, I mean, the under on Truex might not be the worst play. I have him at 38. So, I mean, yeah, the under on Truex really isn't that bad. Other than that, I mean, they are kind of like lockstep with my projections, so I'm not really seeing much value at all. They did have Hamlin at 24.5 laps led. That's not done at 21.5, unfortunately. But there's really like only one prop I like, so I'm not touching it. I thought underdog was better this weekend. Let me see if they moved. I took Buescher under 11.5. Well, not under, better than 11.5, like to finish in the top 11, which I thought that number was a little bit off. And then I liked Reddick better than 9.5, which was kind of insane on a road course. But I will see if they updated. So they got, yeah, unfortunately they have Reddick 8.5 now and Buescher at 10.5. So I don't really feel as good about those. I mean, I still think Buescher can get a top 10, but definitely lost a little bit of its luster. You really got to get those props early because they will move by the time this last stream starts. What's up, Clint? So sorry I'm late. Don't be sorry, I'm late myself. Happy race day, y'all. How we feeling about Harvick in the back? GPP. I mean, I would rather play him in cash games than anything, but tournaments, I am going to be underweight on Harvick. I don't see the speed. Like, if he finishes 24th, great. He gained about 10 spots, but that's still only about 28 points, which is exactly what I have projected today. I'm at a 24.39 projected finish, 28.42 points, 3.74x value. Like, is he the worst play in the world? No, but like, I'm not excited about it. Hope Gibbs gets his first win. It's possible. I mean, he's a good road racer. He's been fast at almost all the road courses. Just a matter of putting it together during an entire race. And last week he got screwed at the beginning. But he drove all his way back up to, was it like 12th or 11th? So Joel says, Cash, Truex, Elliott, Custer, Bowman, Harvick, Blaney, thank you in advance. It's viable. I mean, I do like Byron and Cash today, but I mean, the rest looks pretty solid for cash games. FanDuel, best under 10.5. Best under 10.5 for me. In this order, it'd be Byron, Dinger, Kyle Busch, Hamlin. Any Almirola love? Not really. Not too excited about it. Top 3 favorite GPPs on FanDuel. I would say Kyle Busch is a pretty good target for tournaments. Ty Gibbs, he'll be a decent pivot there. And I do not mind. I'm not sure how high on Michael McDowell is going to get because the price is up. So I would just say him as well. If people don't want to pay him with the price bump. But the dude's just one of the best road course racers. Thoughts on Custer? Sucks, slow, ugly. Just don't like the guy. But starting in 34th, I don't mind him for DFS purposes. Or Elliott, Bowman, Harvick, Blaney, Keselowski, and Byron better for cash. I think that looks a little bit better for cash games, Joel. Looks pretty good, actually. Juan says, Larson for the win, making it 3 in a row. Let's go, Hendrick Motorsports. Just say something to give me hope, Chris. Hey, I don't mind a 1. I don't think it's out of the question that Larson can win today. And I do think a Hendrick car takes it home, whether it be Elliott, Larson, or Byron. I don't really think Bowman will win starting back in 18th, but I think he'll have a good showing at least. Pivot off of Haley? If so, who please? I don't think you have to pivot off of Haley, but if you absolutely want to, Austin Dillon's an option right there. You also have Eric Jones at a very similar price point. Ricky Stenhouse. Logano or Bowman for a pick'em, thank you. I mean, it sucks that Logano's got the better track position, but I think over the course of the race, the Hendrick car will win out there. I'd rather play Bowman. Best underdog picks. Hopefully I answered that one. What is up, Kyle? Yes, I can say that, history buff. I certainly can. Every single week I get the Bubba love for a road course, and it's just, it's not a thing. Darren says, Brad Keselowski thoughts, even going to the rear. I'm fine with that. I mean, it's not like we had the pass-through penalty with William Byron last week where he needs a caution. Like, he can make his way back up to around mid-pack. I don't think it's a huge deal. Isaiah says, what about LaJoy and FanDuel? I'm going to pass on FanDuel. Completely pass over there. I don't really see a need to play punts on FanDuel pretty much ever, unless it's a super speedway, which next week we can at Daytona. How horrible is Amarola? Priest a better play? I mean, they're both pretty bad, both very slow. I would say Priest is a better play than Amarola this week, though. He definitely pops a little bit more for me. Do I like Cindric? Says Deshaun. I mean, I like him to a degree. I got him projected for around 31.5 points. Talking just inside a top 15 finish. He's starting in 17th. I mean, I think he's fine. Like around 20% today. Stan says, any interest in Gilliland? Not really. The price bump kind of sucked for him. I wish he was still in the 5K range. I got him projected for around 17 points. Talking about a 25th place projected finish, which is right where he's starting. It's not great. I mean, Gillen's kind of right there with Bubba Wallace, Austin Dillon as far as projections concerned. Definitely be low owned though. It's me, it's Ernest T. Custer and bad equipment. He's a decent road course driver. Where does he need to finish to be decent in DraftKings GPP? Yeah, he's definitely a decent road course driver. If you were watching the Xfinity race, I mean, he was, for starting in the rear, he was putting it down, and he got up front. And then I think he was the one that killed Justin Allgaier at the end, which was unfortunate because I had a prop on him. But as far as Custer being viable, I got him projected to finish 29.91. That's just under 20 points. But honestly, everyone's projected really bad down here, so it's not as bad as it sounds. And with that projection, that's giving him around a 15% optimal probability. So I mean, it's not awful. It's not awful. Honestly, 29's barely being in the top 30 for Custer as far as a projection. So if he does any better than that, I mean, he's not the worst play out there. The equipment sucks, but you can kind of make up for it a little bit at a road course. McDowell, Larson in tournaments. I'd rather play Larson in tournaments. Right, Dorito says, any prize picks for NASCAR that are still decent options? Not really. I do think the Truex under 46.5 is not bad because they're giving him a what? If you look at the heat map here, Truex, they're basically saying he's going to finish top 9, which sure it's possible, but I don't really see that happening today. Unless he gets there in strategy, which, I mean, it can happen, but I got him projected for 12.78. Raul says, do I do an NFL show also? I do videos, but not a live stream. There's just, you know, sometimes you got to know your place. There's so many people that does NFL. Like, just no reason for me to do an NFL stream as well. Everybody else already does it. But I do videos. So if you ever want to check those out, you can certainly do that. Chris says, 3 good GPP plays. I mean, I like Kyle Larson a lot. I like Dinger. I like Todd Gibbs in tournaments. I think those are pretty decent targets. Blaney at 7.5K. Give me some of that. I mean, he hasn't been great at the road courses this year, but he's got upside. He was fast last week. I think he finished 12th. If I remember correctly. Let me pull up Racing Reference. Blaney was... Yep, no, P13. Ty Gibbs was 12. I don't know why I kept thinking he finished 12. Says you definitely need to keep doing the NASCAR streams during football season, or maybe watch practice and talk about it or something. You know, I tried it in the past. It's just there's not as many people. We run out of questions quick in the chat, and plus it's right during NFL season, right when the games are about to start. So it's just kind of hard to do because I mean I realize football is more popular. So I usually just draw the line after Darlington. I think this is the last race before the NFL season starts. So. Sad as it is, I'll probably have to continue doing that. Plus, I gotta do football stuff, and it gets kind of hectic before lock. Dinger or Byron? I would say Byron, but it is close. I do like both. 2 of my favorite plays on the slate, really. Steve says, thoughts on Busher? I have so much Burton, I think I'm going to throw up. I feel that. I feel that. But yeah, I like Buescher. I mean, the guy's just the model consistency at road courses. Next gen car, if we look at the numbers, pretty darn good. We're talking 10 race sample size, average finish of 8.7, which is only behind Chase Elliott. And then even better than Michael McDowell, better than Reddick, better than all those guys. He also has 8 top 10s. That's 8% of the time he's been in the top 10 at road course in the next gen car. 9 top 15s, 2 top 5s. Starting in 13th, $9,100. I think that's fair pricing. I mean, I'm taking that. He's in my main lineup as of right now for my single entry. Jimmy says my pit bull's name is Bubba. Is it, Jimmy? Is it because of Bubba Wallace? Or is it just because it's I guess it's a decent dog name, Bubba. What's up, Tito? Says Truex will log out. Don't put me in timeout again. It was Potato's fault. You spammed the chat with Truex will log out for about 30 times in a minute, Tito. I had to. Just getting out of control there. Any interest in Buescher? Definitely have interest there. Thoughts on Rockefeller? So if you're trying to get off some of the chalkier plays in the 5K range, Rockefeller is not the absolute worst you could do. Only a DK play. Wouldn't touch that on FanDuel. But starting at 21st, if you can like stay within the top 23 or something like that, I mean, we could do worse today. Got done from Liker. I apologize. For some reason, if it's a certain amount, it doesn't show up until I scroll down. So I'm sorry about that. It says Larson, Byron, Elliott, Bowman, Haley, and Burton. I mean, it's the all Hendrick lineup. I don't mind it. I mean, Haley's got to get back up from where he started because he's in the rear, but I think that's possible over the course of a long race. Harrison, Burton, you're throwing up when you do it, but I mean, it's whatever. So I think that's fine. I mean, I definitely like Hendrick today. Dakota says, with Byron as my dominator, should I go Buescher or Gibbs? I also have Elliott, Rockefeller, Harvick, Bowman as the rest of my lineup. You already have a decent amount of PD there, so I wouldn't hate going Gibbs, but Buescher projects better for me. I think Buescher's the safer place. I'll go there. C Pickle 60. Roshan says, Austin, Dillon, Bowen, Briscoe, McDowell, Suarez, and Allmendinger. Yeah, I mean, Briscoe looked good last week. I'm skeptical if they're gonna have similar speed this weekend, but as long as he's not awful, I mean, he's starting at 26. Like, I don't think he's gonna move backwards. But other than that, I think it looks pretty solid. Some good road course racers there. Although I wish Suarez showed some more speed in practice. I was a little disappointed from what I saw. Looking at the numbers in practice, 23rd and 21st in the 1 and 5 lap, and then the lap by lap data. He's kind of right on par with that. 17th overall, I think. That's what it is. Yeah, 17th. So I was a little disappointed in Suarez. I thought he was going to be faster. Dinger more of a GPP play. I mean, he's towing the line. You can certainly play him in cash games, but I mean, I'm all about being overweight on him in tournaments for sure. I think the price is a little bit too low. Got done it from Dat Stud Killer Cam. Again, apologize, it didn't show up until just now. For some reason, it just doesn't. Almirola or Priest and Buescher thoughts? Oh gosh, that's ugly. I would definitely say probably Priest there. And then Buescher thoughts, I mean, I like Chris Buescher a lot today. I mean, probably already answered that for you, so you know my answer, but I think with how good he's been at road courses, you just can't avoid the guy. And it's not like he was slow in practice or anything. He was 6th in the 1 lap, 8th in the 5, 8th in the 10. Looking at the lap by lap data, he was 10th for me. So, I mean, starting in 13th, I don't mind that at all. He could definitely be a top 8 guy. Andre says, Elliott, Byron, Bowman, Dinger, Blaney, Custer, Cash. I don't mind it. I mean, I don't think there's like a for sure cash lineup this week, but I think that's certainly viable. Cal says, am I playing any Hamlin in the 20 max? I currently have 30 or 35% on Hamlin right now. So just playing the track position game there. Avery Drake says, would you do all place differential plays or do you think you need a Dom? I definitely would not do all place differential plays. I mean, especially if this is a green race, you're going to want guys up front. So I would definitely say you need a mixture. Although I'm pretty heavy on just guys with good track position today. Like my main lineup on FanDuel. Let me pull it up. And I made sure I got my lineups in early last week because I made a mistake last weekend that I don't really want to talk about. All right, so my main lineup this weekend on FanDuel, it's got starting positions. It's 15th, 13th, 6th, 2nd, and 18th. So it's like a decent mixture there. FanDuel, Truex. My thoughts are, Tito, that you probably ran out of salary. Top 3 place differential. Let me check my rankings on the place differential plays here. So as far as guys that I think are going to get the most spots today, in order I have Elliott, Harvick, and Truex. So these will be my main place differential guys. What is up, Miss Jules? Thank you for stopping by. Says, hello, handsome. Well, hello, beautiful. Good luck, everyone. Yeah, we're going to need it. We're going to need it. I mean, I think last week went very well last week, but hopefully that can happen 3 times in a row. He was chasing away the bad doggies outside. I'm sure it was Enzo. He's not a big fan of Enzo. No problem at all, Ron Paul 2012. I appreciate you stopping by always. Baby Statty says, last driver in, Logano, Harvick, or Blaney. Blaney projects the best for me there, so I'd say Blaney. Darren says Dinger, Jones, or Brett Keselowski and Byron. It's a tough one right there. I think I'd have to go Keselowski and Byron, though. Steve says Priest, Busher, or Custer, Dinger for DraftKings cash. Probably Custer and Dinger, just because I like Dinger a little bit more. Jalen says Dylan or Burton from the back. You mean Ty Dillon, I'm assuming? I'd probably say Harrison Burton there. Just not that I really trust either, but I feel like I trust him maybe a little bit more. Just a little bit. Favorite FanDuel GPP play, 5,000 or less. I'll tell you right now, Justin, I do not have a single driver 5,000 or less in my lineups today on FanDuel. But if I had to pick one, it's bad. Maybe just LaJoy, hoping he gets back up there, or Ricky Stenhouse, but I don't see a scenario where I'm playing any of these guys, which, man, it doesn't have to be a scenario. I'm just not. I don't have anyone that low, I don't believe. The driver, like in 150 lineups here, my cheapest driver looks like Eric Jones, and that is 1.3% in my lineups on FanDuel. And I don't know what his price is. What's his price over on FanDuel? He's $5,200. So other than Eric Jones, it's like Keselowski at $6,200. Like, I don't really see a need to go that cheap, especially at a road course. Thoughts on Chastain? That's like the first Chastain question I've got. So he's definitely not as good at road courses as he was last year. Starting in 22nd, he is really cheap. On FanDuel, I like him more compared to DraftKings. If you're looking at practice, kind of right on par with where he qualified, 21st in the 1 lap, 17th in the 5. Like, I think he can gain you a handful of spots. And if you're looking at his numbers this year, running position of 15th, finish of 13.3, also has 2 top 10s and 3 top 20s. Like, I think he can be halfway decent for you. Definitely not a fade by all means. I'd get him in some lineups. I have him around 20-ish% of my lineups on FanDuel right now because he's only 7K over there. What's up, 5J? Says morning, Chris. For DraftKings tournaments for a 3-entry max, are you filling lineups with the majority of 9K drivers plus guys and 2 real cheap guys? Or are you spreading out more cash to stay away from them low guys? Yeah, I would like to be a little bit more balanced. I just hate the cheap plays today, so the more balanced I can be, the better I would feel personally. So instead of like jamming in these expensive drivers, maybe click on one and then try to get down to like that Busher Dinger range instead of going 2 10K guys, because it gets ugly fast. Because I want to get as many guys that I think can finish high in my lineup as possible. Dinger top 3 finish for my money, I could see it. I didn't bet anything though, but I could see that. Definitely has a really good car. Spencer says Elliott, Busher, or Larson and Dinger. That's probably the toughest question I've gotten today, Spencer. It's 4 of my favorite drivers. Projection-wise, I believe Elliott and Busher is a little bit higher. I think. Who's the other guy? Larson and who? Larson Dinger. Actually, Larson Dinger, I think, takes the cake. Yeah, it would be Larson and Dinger. The first one looks good, though. At least on the eyes. Dinger said in qualifying he has more left, so that's enough for me. I mean, you know how good he is at road course. As long as he can stay clean. That's the one thing with Dinger. I feel like he never has a clean road course race. Always some issue at some point. A lot of it's not usually his fault. Something with his pit crew screwing up, or we saw last week with Ryan Blaney. It's just something stupid. Appreciate the donor race fan. Says anyone to the rear. In my core 3 are Elliott, Busher, Dinger. Thoughts? Thanks, Bubba. Yeah, I love that core. I mean, I have a large chunk of those 3 drivers. And as far as to the rear, I believe it's LaJoie, Haley, Keselowski, and Custer as of right now. I should probably check Bob Twitter to make sure nothing else happened, but I think that's about it. Says Gillen team had to check a brake rotor. Typically you can do that without penalty. See if it cracked because single supplier part and safety issue. So I guess Gilly's good, but other than that, it looks like we're fine. See, there's about 400 of you here. Appreciate that. Almost the 200 likes. We're getting there. If we get the 200 by the time I get out of here, that'd be pretty cool. But I do appreciate the donut, sir. And then I got another donut from Pugsley. It says Elliott, Dinger, Busher, Byron, Dillon, Rocker, Elliott, Reddick, Byron, Bowman, Dillon, Rock for tourneys. Oh man, I would probably say the first one there, Pugsley. First one looks a little bit better. Gibb says, I'm praying to Bob Podcast. Please forgive me for my pump plays this week. Yeah, make sure you all say your prayers to Bob. Yeah, we do need a Warzone. We didn't get to play last night. Y'all need Warzone rehab? Yeah, we're definitely addicts. Been playing ever since it came out during COVID. Just too addicted to it. Roshan says, AJ Suarez, Bowman, Briscoe, Austin, Dillon, McDowell. I mean, it's pretty good. I mean, Austin Dillon's like your one iffy guy, but you're like every lineup on DraftKings today is going to have that iffy guy or two. So if you can just have like one iffy guy, it's not too bad. So I do like that lineup. Any thoughts on Rockefeller, says Sandra? I like the speed he showed in practice compared to the other guys in the back. Like, he definitely looks a little bit faster. And if you're looking at last week, I think he finished like 26 or something. Not bad for starting almost last. So I don't hate him. It's not pretty though. Something like the M13C on Shadow Siege. Anything good on Price Picks? I wasn't able to unlock that gun, unfortunately. But I just use the attack V now these days. But no, there's really nothing good on Price Picks. I like the Truex under 46.5 if you don't think he finishes top 9. But other than that, it's not really anything too exciting over on Price Picks today. The under on Hamlin laps at 24.5 looked pretty good, but that's now down to 21.5. So it really just depends on how quick you think Byron gets the lead or somebody else. Benchwarmer says, what's your recommendation for tournaments compared to double ups? Double ups, you're really just trying to play the chalkiest safe lineup possible. Tournaments, that's when you're taking those risks. That's when you're playing guys like Ty Gibbs instead of an Alex Bowman, because you're going to get the ownership, say, cut in half, and there's a lot more risk to it. But there's also a lot of upside at lower ownership, if that makes sense. Jones or Rockefeller in similar equipment, I would still probably go with Jones there. Just give me the extra PD. Who's been moved to the back? Probably answered that one. Favorite FanDuel GPP play, 5,000 or less. Answered that. Thoughts on Briscoe? I like what I saw last week. Definitely looked pretty good. We know he's got upside of road courses. Just hasn't exactly been the best in the Cup Series. Problem is, though, these SHR cars do not look very good. They don't look very good at all. That's my only concern. Because Briscoe is 26 in the 1 lap, 30th in the 5. If we look at the overall lap data, in practice, Briscoe was below Austin Dillon, below Bubba Wallace, below Rockefeller. Just doesn't look amazing. I think he was 24th overall in my rankings at least. So, Peter says Cash, Byron, Bowman, Chase, Busher, Briscoe, AA. AA and Cash doesn't feel too great, Tito. Too great. Maybe could we find somebody else? I realize we don't have many options, but I think I'd rather play Priest over Amarola. And then you got the money for that. Are you playing Blaney in a 20 max, or would you? Yeah, I'd play Blaney in 20 max today. I got him around 25%. I don't think he's a bad play at the price. Hammer that spam button. I'm all for banning Tito. It's always a decent idea in Discord. He likes to spam. No, not really. I got you, Jimmy. Peyton says, what do you think about Blaney on DraftKings? A lot of Blaney questions today. I mean, I do like the price. I don't think he's going to be a top 10 guy today, but if he can finish 17th, I don't think we're going to complain too much. Best spend ups for DraftKings GPP. I would say Kyle Larson, Kyle Busch, McDowell, Dinger. All those guys look really good in tournaments. Benchwarmer says, where is he reading questions from? In the chat, I'm just way behind, as always. I try to answer every single question here. I'm not sure anybody else does that, but I'll answer every single question. Chasing Chase. Cal says, any thoughts on Ross this week? I mean, the guy should be decent at road courses. The speed really hasn't been there, but he does have some decent finishes paired with it. I think he's going to probably finish anywhere from around like 18th to 20th. If you want to be nice, 16th to 20th, which it's not bad. But like you're not excited about it. He's very similar play to Blaney. Very similar play to Austin Cindric. I'm late. What's the optimal lineup? I'm not sure. Sean says, hey CP, thoughts on Elliott, McDowell, Byron, Bowman, and Blaney on FanDuel Cash? I like that lineup a lot. It's really good. I mean, you have to have Elliott in Cash. McDowell looks good. Byron, Bowman. That looks really good, Sean. I'm not really sure what else you could change. I mean, maybe Busher over McDowell if you just want the extra place differential, but I don't think it's really worth changing your lineup over too much. Timothy says, favorite stands today? What did I miss for cash? I am going very heavy on Hendrick today, Timothy. It's really one of the stands I have. Just have a lot of Hendrick. I'm fine with answering questions multiple times, Timothy. You don't have to rewatch. And it says, what did I miss for cash/floor plays? Basically the Hendrick cards. I mean, I think Chase Elliott's a very safe cash play. Alex Bowman, William Byron. It's kind of like the starting point for cash. Also, Ryan Blaney is popping up a lot here. I'm assuming he's going to have some decent ownership for cash games. Also, AJ Allmendinger, those kind of guys. Good luck to you as well, Stan. Rangers fan says, what rules are you setting to get a mix of place differential and lap leader? I'm not really setting any rules today. It's kind of like whatever the optimizer gives me, my exposures that I like, I'm fine with that. If it's a very top-heavy lineup, I'm all right with that. If I get mixed in a little bit of place differential, I'm fine with that as well, because my projections, like a lot of these guys, starting up in the front, so I'm not going to get these place differential heavy lineups. And that's not what I want anyway. So, I mean, guys like Blaney will pop up, Ross Chastain, Keselowski, just because they're cheap, and we need some warm bodies in our lineup. But everybody else, I mean, pretty much starting in the top 15 that I like. Adam says, thoughts on Elliott, Dinger, Busher, Bowman, Blaney, Burton, and Cash? That works for me. I have zero issues with that Cash lineup. The only issue, well, I have one issue. It's that you don't have Byron, but I mean, I guess it's not the end of the world. I guess you're pivot off of Byron's Dinger, which it's pretty coin flippish, I would say. Happy race day, Rahul. Underdog picks you like? The two I liked are gone. It was Busher better than 11.5 and Reddick better than 9.5. Unfortunately, those got bumped a little bit. Not something you can't do anymore, but you definitely lost some value. Mundo says, can you play any Ty Dillon this week? I mean, you can. I'm not sure it's going to work out very well for you, though. Should be very slow. 5J says, single lineup on DraftKings, McDowell, Dinger, Busher, Byron, Blaney, Rockefeller. Is it Rockefeller or Rockefeller, right? I forget. Okay, it is Rockefeller. I think I've got it. I think everyone that asks a question changes the name every single time. But yeah, I mean, that's totally fine. I mean, McDowell, road course stud. Same with Dinger, same with Busher. Byron, tons of speed. Blaney's cheap. I think that looks pretty good. Thoughts on Bell? I think this is the first Christopher Bell question we've gotten today. I don't hate him. It's just it comes to a point where I can't play all these guys, and he's just one of those that are kind of getting the boot. I have around 10% today on Christopher Bell. Not saying he's going to be bad, but I just don't think he's going to be better than like Bush, McDowell, Dinger, Larson, Elliott. So, fortunately, cannot play everybody. Must plays on FanDuel. I mean, I have a ton of Byron and Elliott on FanDuel. They're pretty hard to avoid, in my opinion. Same with Bowman. Answer those. Custer, Burton for cash. Probably Burton. I got Burton projected. Well, actually, Burton projects a little bit worse. I mean, it's just really ugly down there. I mean, Custer gives you a couple extra spots, I guess. We'll roll the dice with Custer. He's really not that bad of a road course guy. But, man, the car is just not great. But in practice, to be fair, he was 28th and 27th. Burton was 34th and 35th. So, you know, even though he's in not a great ride, I mean, did show at least a little bit of speed compared to the car he's in. Aloha from Hawaii. What's up, Astro? Hopefully you're okay with the fires. I don't know what island you're on, but I know it's pretty bad over there, so hopefully you are safe. Do we need rock for 20 max? Maybe a sprinkle, Kyle. Maybe a sprinkle. I mean, it's just, like, it's hard to take a stand on any of these cheap plays because they're all just so bad looking. It's just kind of like a mix and match, really. Thoughts on Burton on DraftKings? I probably just answered that for you. Say it says 403 people in here. Like the live to support the Go Chris. Appreciate that. We could get to 200. That'd be sweet. We're at 199, so we need one more person to like it, actually. One more person. McDowell, Suarez, or Dinger? That is tough. All very good plays. If it's DraftKings, my highest predicted there would be Dinger by a hair. Logano. Not getting to a ton of Logano. I think he's fine around 10 to 15% of the time, but it's just one of those things where I'm not like rushing to play him. And if you guys ever want to check out all the content or look at the stuff that I'm looking at to answer you guys' question, you can try it out completely free for a week on the Patreon. No strings attached, completely free for a week. And if you don't like it, you can tell me to kick rocks. I don't care, but risk free. Try it out if you like the content. You can stay if not. But it's fine with me. But there's a ton of stuff on there. How do I feel about Gibbs? I mean, I like Gibbs staying tournaments. I got him projected for around 32 points, which is not amazing, but again, I do have some pretty conservative projections. Like I'm for a 9.08 projected finish. He definitely has more upside for that. It's just like a median. So I definitely wouldn't avoid Ty Gibbs. I have him around 20% of my lineups right now. And he did sneak his way into one of my 3 max builds. Thoughts on Lally? Probably not for me. I just don't want to go that low. Fantastic price. It really is on Blaney. He is cheap. Cash update says Chase, Byron, Bowman, Busher, Blaney, Rockefeller. Not bad. I mean, again, the cheap guy is just going to look so ugly, but other than that, it looks really good. Elliott, Bowman, Busher, Haley, and Dinger in DraftKings GP. Well, I guess just in GPP. But that's 5 drivers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So is that a FanDuel question? If so, I mean, it doesn't look bad at all. Definitely looks pretty good. Opie says we have plenty of time. The Great Guardian K9 says, best driver under 6K on DraftKings, thank you. It looks like Stenhouse. Stenhouse or Priest right now for me. And again, it looks really ugly still, but... Alright, we got 217 likes now. Appreciate that, guys. We hit our goal. Jason says, where do you see AJ? What do you mean? Like, see him finishing today? I mean, I think he could definitely be top 5. I think I'm projected to finish 4th as far as they can order. Best value plays on DraftKings GPP. It is all bad. I would say Priest, Stenhouse, LaJoy if you can stomach him going from the rear because he's got a fast car. Rockefeller, Custer. It's really bad. Okay, I've almost caught up to the chat, so if you guys have any more questions, let me know. We've been here for about an hour, 10 minutes. 400 cars plus Haley and LaJoy seem decent. I mean, it's not awful. Don't forget LaJoy is going to the rear, though, so keep that in mind when you are rostering him. Do we select LaJoy and Haley after going to the rear? I mean, Haley's not as big of a deal because he starts 10 spots further back. LaJoy definitely hurts him a bit because that track position was going to be huge. Now that he doesn't have that, it's very unfortunate. But if we can get a couple cautions maybe, not saying that's going to happen. It's kind of tough to get cautions at road courses, but if we can get like 1 or 2, it helps. But he's got a fast enough car to where I think he could ride up to the around 20th. Larson, Burton, or Byron and Kess? I had to go Byron and Kess there. Just feels a little bit better. He says, who was to the rear again? Missed it. Thanks. To the rear, we have LaJoy, potentially Gilliland, although I don't think he is. So LaJoy, Keselowski, Custer, Joey Keselowski, Custer. Who's the other one? I feel like we're missing someone. I'm missing somebody. I just don't remember who. Pretty sure there was 4. Tell me who it is, Bob. Oh, and Haley. We just got done talking about, so I don't know how I forgot that. Who do I like on the lower end? Probably answered that one. Thoughts on Ty Gibbs? I think Ty Gibbs is a pretty good tournament play. We know he's great at road courses. Absolutely crushed Xfinity. I know the end result. Which other thing? Like when you look at average finish, how Gibbs finished last week, I mean, it has nothing to do with how he raced during the race. He was way better than that. Class of the field. Very unfortunate what happened to him if you played Xfinity. But, I mean, dude's a good road course racer. Has speed, just needs to put together a full race. Hockey Freak Sean says, last man on DraftKings, Priest or Rockefeller or Custer LaJoy. Whew. Priest projects the best of that bunch. It's making a whole Hendrick car lineup potentially optimal. It's got the potential for it. I mean, it's not a given, but it's got potential. Best driver under 7K. First one that pops up for me is Eric Jones. I got him for around 24-ish points. Eric says, I missed some of the stream, so sorry if you talked about him. What do you think of Cindric for a control? You don't have to apologize. I'll answer any question. But, I mean, Cindric's fine. I mean, I got him projected finishing just inside the top 15, starting at 17th. It's positive place differential, so I'll take it. How much Dinger for 20 max? I mean, right now I got about 40-ish%. I mean, I really like Dinger today. Larson or Elliott or both? I mean, if you can play both, great. If I had to pick one, it'd be Chase. Strategy for tournaments, just avoiding some of these popular plays. Like, if you want to be different in tournaments today, don't play Chase Elliott. Play Kyle Larson instead, something like that. Or if you want to avoid guys like Kevin Harvick, Ryan Blaney, Alex Bowman, you can pivot to guys like Ty Gibbs, Austin Cindric. You know, those are just ways to do it without going too crazy. Like, if you don't have Chase today, you're just going to be different by itself, right? Like that. Now, I did play Chase in my single entry still because I'm a coward, but I was really considering taking him out for Kyle Larson. Oh, you're good, Dustin. You're throwing me off because I was trying to think. Michael says, Larson, McDowell, Dinger, Byron, Stenhouse, Priest. I mean, it passes for me. It looks good. I mean, it's a little top heavy, but it's good. Astro says, Brad to the back, so a good idea for tournaments. It might lower his ownership a little bit. I'm not sure it'll change too much, but I mean, I can get on board with some Brad today just because he's cheap. What's up, James? No problem. Do I like Truex and cash? Not really. I know I kind of talked him up for cash games in the video. Things changed a little bit. He just wasn't really popping up as much for me. I would much prefer Elliott, Byron, Dinger for cash games over Truex right now. I mean, he's not the worst cash play. If you want to play him, go for it. I'm just personal preference on that for me. Jay says, Byron, dinner. Not quite ready for dinner yet. Still got to do lunch. LaJoy, Larson, Gibbs, Briscoe for DraftKings. I mean, I don't really have a problem with it. The only concern would be LaJoy going to the rear, but if he can just move up to like mid-pack, it might not kill you. Reddick top 5. I don't currently have him projected to finish top 5. I'm just outside of that. Best mid-range plays on DraftKings for GPP. I would say Ty Gibbs is a pretty good target. Austin Cindric, Ross Chastain. Kind of like your pivots off of the chalkier bunch. Like Alex Bowman, he'll be chalky today. Ryan Blaney will be chalky. Noah says, what would be the chalkiest cash lineup for DraftKings? Well, I think it'd probably be Elliott, Byron, Larson. Or not Larson, sorry. Elliott, Byron, Bowman. After that, it's a little bit tough. I would say Blaney might sneak in there as far as being really popular. After that, it's tough. I think that'll be a really popular 4 combination there. But I would say like the last 2 is a little bit iffy on that one. PDB says Kyle Busch has been a complete bust here lately. I mean, I'm not really too concerned with track history too much. Like, I don't really even look at it too much these days, to be honest. But completely different now. We're not even in the same car for Kyle Busch. And the next gen car, I've only been here once. So, I mean, it's just... With the next gen car these days, I kind of throw out track history too much. Yeah, Haley, I was slow on that one. JW says, LaJoy, Briscoe, Larson, Byron, Dinger, Gibbs. I mean, it's not bad. Again, there is concern with LaJoy, but if he can at least race his way back up there, if the car is fast, might be able to work. How many drivers starting in the top 10 would you roster for tournaments? Well, I mean, I think you can go pretty top heavy today. Like, I don't have a problem with you even if you have like 4. I think that's okay. I don't think there's like a set number you need to be at. Tournaments: Byron, McDowell, AJ, Suarez, Blaney, LaJoy. I'm fine with Byron in tournaments, but he will be very chalky. But Brad or Briscoe? I have a slight lean on Brad there, but it's both look really slow in practice. Thoughts on Priest? He's cheap, and that's about the nicest thing I can say about Priest. So that's one of the ways it can work. LaJoy to the back, so are we off of him? I wouldn't say completely off of him, but I mean, I don't like him as much as I did, for sure. Like, I didn't project to finish around 17th. I think over the course of 90 laps, he could get somewhat close to that if the car is as good as it was in practice and qualifying. But the loss of track position definitely sucks. Right back at you, James. Thank you for being here. Is Briscoe the ownership pivot off of Blaney and Harvick? It might be, to be honest. It'll definitely be lower than those two. So I don't mind it. Don't mind it. He was definitely not fast, but I mean, if we go off of kind of what we saw last week, Briscoe was definitely pretty good. Norman says, Larson all the way. Larson wins 3 in a row. It's possible. It's possible. Wouldn't surprise me, but I just keep thinking if Chase is like right there at the end, it's like maybe they tell Larson to like halfway miss a turn a little bit so they can get there. I don't know. I'm not one for conspiracies in sports and stuff, but I feel like if Hendrick has the opportunity to get Chase in the playoffs, they're gonna do something. Internet says Cindric's certainly in play today, similar to like Blaney and Ross Chastain. Rick says Dinger, Byron, Buescher, Gibbs, Stenhouse, and Bowman on DraftKings. What's your thoughts? I mean, I like the lineup. I don't really see any problems with it. I'm kind of surprised it fits. I guess it's because you don't have any of the 10K guys, but Dinger's awesome. Byron, Buescher, Gibbs. I mean, that looks pretty good. Who's going to the rear? Can't find any info. Keselowski, LaJoy, Haley. I feel like I forget one of these guys every single time. And Custer. How many laps for this race? Just under 100, so we do not have many dominator points to go around. Eric Jones or Keselowski? I guess Keselowski. Both kind of gross. Robert says, Elliott, Bowman, Blaney, Byron, Bell for FanDuel. I mean, it looks good. It's pretty balanced. I wouldn't say you have like any drivers that have like outside of the top 20 concerns. So it looks pretty good, Robert. What's up, Jeremy? How do you feel about I forced the lineup in tournaments? I mean, it's just one of those weeks where the cheap plays are not abundant. There is not really any good cheap plays. So I feel like being a little bit more balanced is better. Just a little bit more balanced. Astro says, who to play in the 7K range? Thank you. Let me see. Top guys in the 7K range for me. Ryan Blaney pops quite a bit. Outside of that, it's not pretty. Keselowski, Harvick, all kind of right there. But Blaney would be my favorite as of right now. Thoughts on Reddick? So I don't hate Reddick. The problem is I just don't think he's going to have the better car than some of these other guys that are really expensive. So he's like right there with Christopher Bell where like I like him at road courses, but I can't play everybody. So he's just one of those guys getting the boot for me. I got him predicted for around 37 points. It's just not really enough to pop up a ton. I wouldn't completely avoid Haley. I mean, it hurts him a little bit, but still okay with it. Best projected low owned play. Ty Gibbs should be halfway decent as far as his ownership. I don't think it's going to be anything crazy. He won't be forgotten about, though, but I do like Ty Gibbs, Cindric, Kyle Larson. Like, they're not completely low owned, but like they're not going to be like mega chalk. Do any lines with Hamlin and Byron in them? I didn't hand build any with those two together, but let me just scroll through my 20 max and 150 and see if I have any. Just have to eyeball it. Yeah, I got one right there. Got another right there. So yeah, it looks like I'm gonna have some with them together, but it doesn't look like it's an overabundance. It's just that they're cheap, where you can make it work. It's not like you're paying 10K for each. I mean, one's 9K, one's 8,800 bucks. Wallace or Busher, I would definitely go Busher there. Luna says, "What's your approach? Stars and scrubs or balanced?" I'd be decently balanced today. I just hate the cheap plays. I feel a lot more comfortable. Like my cheapest driver is someone that at least has some top 20 upside. Yeah, you might be, Tito. You might be. Danny says, Elliott, Dinger, Bowman, McDowell, Blaney. I like that a lot. Is that a FanDuel build, I'm assuming? Yeah, Busher's an excellent road course racer. I know we have some Bubba Wallace fans of road courses, which, yes, I'll admit he does have some halfway decent finishes of road courses, but I mean, he's just not a good road course guy. It is what it is. Not everybody can be a good road course racer. But yeah, Chris Busher definitely has a lot more success with these track types. I feel like you can trust him a lot more. Rockefeller LaJoy, gosh, it's so bad. Not that your question's bad. It's just those two drivers are bad. But we're kind of forced to playing a few of them. As of right now, my projections have LaJoy, I think, slightly higher. But it's like a point or two off. It's bad, though. No problem at all, Rick. No problem. I can only do this stuff if you guys come here and have fun with me, so I do appreciate you all very much. Custer is playable in cash, just it's not going to feel good, I promise. Yeah, I have Byron and Hamlin in the same lineups, Tito. Not like an overabundance of it, but they do show up a bit. But I think I caught up about an hour and a half on the stream, so appreciate everyone being here today. Hopefully we can have some good luck. 237 likes, that's pretty awesome for a stream, so thank you all. If you have any more questions, you can leave them in the comments section. I'll try to get there, but I'll be in Discord, and we'll be having fun in there and wishing us all for the best. LaJoy gonna end the race like 29th from 10th? I mean, maybe. I don't know. I mean, his car is better than 29th. The track position sucks, though. Yep, I'll see you there, Rick. Appreciate y'all being here. See y'all next week for Daytona. Should be an amazing race and playoff cutoff race, so hopefully we can get some good drama, which I'm sure we will. But wish you all the best.